Candidates on the Republican side down there in Atlanta with Erick Erickson, a Q&A today. This as, process stories behind the scenes still pop up. One of them about the DeSantis campaign, specifically the Super PAC, putting out suggestions about the debate, what he should do, the candidate should do. The campaign putting out a statement on this debate memo. This was not a campaign memo. We were not aware of it prior to the article. It's a New York Times article. We are now by now well accustomed to the attacks from all sides as the media and other candidates realize Ron DeSantis is the strongest candidate best positioned to take down Joe Biden. Chris Christie doesn't agree. So they're getting ready for next week in Milwaukee. Let's bring in our panel. Byron York, chief political correspondent of the Washington Examiner. Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist, and syndicated radio host Hugh Hewitt. Hugh, some of this stuff is kind of the back and forth of campaigns. You think it amounts to much?
No, not at this stage. I think it amounts to a lot on Wednesday night, but right now they're just jockeying for the first horse out of the gate on Wednesday night. I'm not putting too much stock by anything they say until then.
Yeah. Speaking of Wednesday night, it appears more likely that the former president is not going to appear. We'll see. You never know with former President Trump, but those are the indications he's giving off. Byron, does that change the dynamic in your mindset?
Absolutely. I mean, a debate with Donald Trump is wildly different from a debate without Donald Trump. And I think each candidate, if the former president is not there, each candidate is going to have to decide, well, how am I going to handle the Trump issue? It's going to come up. Chris Christie wants to attack Trump whether he's there or not. But I think what you're going to see is a lot of the other ones kind of trying to tiptoe around the Trump issue because they know how many Republicans who were watching them support Trump. In all of the cattle call events we've had up till now, most of them tried to avoid talking too much about Donald Trump.
Yeah, it is interesting. Leslie, we also saw that the former president canceled this news conference he was going to have in which he was going to lay out, he said, all of this compelling information from the Georgia election. He says that his lawyers say that they're going to put it in filings. Somebody who's not running for president, at least not yet, is the Georgia governor, Brian Kemp. He was down in Atlanta with Erick Erickson. Take a listen.
You can believe whatever you want about the 2020 election. That is your right. I understand that. I have no problem with that. But the thing is, that was 3 years ago. And if you're still mad about that, quit complaining about that. Sign up to be a poll worker, be a poll watcher, get involved in the process.
Leslie, what do you think?
I have to tell you, honestly, Governor Kemp was in the running for my winner tonight on Winners and Losers based on that, because I'm hearing a lot of the same sentiments, not just from voters, but even from my own friends and family members who are Republicans and who want to move on. They want to move on from 2020 and they want to move on from Donald Trump. Interestingly enough, I agree with both Hugh and Byron 100% of what they said so far, but I wanted to add to what Byron said as well. When you look at all of these candidates, with the exception of Chris Christie, Mike Pence, and Ron DeSantis, the rest are running for vice president. So they're going to be very careful. I would add tiptoeing on top of the tiptoeing that Byron brought up with regard to Donald Trump. And without Donald Trump there, you really can see and hear more of the agenda, if you will, from each of these candidates, because when Trump's on stage, they're going to be defending themselves largely. Yeah.
It's not official. We're just getting inclinations, but he hasn't officially given us one way or another. We expect to hear it. The Wall Street Journal editorial board, Hugh, culling the Republican presidential herd. Any announced candidate who hasn't qualified for the debate based on the Republican National Committee's criteria isn't likely to strike political lightning from the sidelines. Staying in longer is essentially a vanity project or an audition to be a talk show host. All right, so with that, we're going to take an early trip down to a place that we call Candidate Casino, but it's a little different. You've got $100 in chips, and you've got to bet on who you think is going to have the breakout moment at the debate Wednesday in Milwaukee. Hugh, you've got $100 in chips.
Well, I'm going to put $30 on Governor DeSantis, 20 each on Christie and Nikki Haley. I'm going to come along with 10 each on Senator Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy, and then $5 each on Burgum and Vice President Pence, because you can't count anybody out. But I am just not persuaded the former president, isn't going to show up. It's sort of like Mike Phelps saying he has too many gold medals. This is the best thing he does. He can dominate a stage with 8 people on it. So giving your opponents that opportunity to beat DeSantis with the momentum or somebody else with the momentum, it doesn't make political sense to me. And he surprised us before, but right now that's where I'm putting my chips.
Okay, Byron, $100 in chips. Big breakout moment in Milwaukee.
I'm putting a lot of money, $60, on Vivek Ramaswamy, because I think it's going to have a huge audience. There will be a significant number of people who really haven't heard him very much, and I think they're going to be pretty impressed. The rest of it, Tim Scott, everybody seems to like Tim Scott, and I think the new people who see him are going to like him too. And then the other is Ron DeSantis, because there's going to be so many eyes on him because of this kind of conventional wisdom now that his campaign is a mess. And he has a chance to really come out and impress viewers.
Okay, big moments, $100 in chips. Leslie.
I'm going to put $25 on Governor DeSantis because I do think this is his opportunity to shine, and he's got to do it really right now, if never before. I'm going to take $15 and put it on the remaining top 5, and that would be Pence and Christie, Haley, Scott, and Ramaswamy. But I'm going to say, even though I didn't put all my money and chips on this guy, I think Chris Christie's going to have a breakout moment because he already has broken away from the rest of these people in speaking so opposite of them regarding Donald Trump, the former president. And I think that's going to make him break out in a sense, get ahead the fray.
All right, Leslie and Hugh putting a lot of money on a lot of people. The bets are in. Thank you. And we'll see what happens next week.
This summit was not about China. That was not the purpose of the meeting, but it did come. China obviously came up. Not to say we don't share concerns about the economic coercion or heightened tensions caused by China, but this summit was really about our relationship with each other and deepening cooperation across an entire range of issues.
Summit in Camp David with South Korea and Japan saying it's not about China, but really it's about China. The Economist saying Joe Biden's China strategy is not working. Supply chains have become more tangled and opaque as they have adapted to the new rules. And if you look closely, it becomes clear that America's reliance on Chinese critical inputs remains. More worrying, the policy has had the perverse effect of pushing America's allies closer to China. Back with the panel, Hugh, we talk about China a lot, but really this is the heart of it. Is that U.S. policy pushing allies that way?
And this is a good moment for Joe Biden, and it's long overdue. There's been historical animosity between Japan and Korea that dates back centuries. This isn't going to fix it in a day, but my hat is off to the president for getting them together. It's an important moment.
Yeah, you look at the U.S.-China trade deficit, Byron, and it's pretty stark, $382.9 billion in just stunning numbers. I talked to the former trade rep on Special Report, Bob Lighthizer, about this. Donald Trump as a candidate talked about China a lot. Something tells me it's going to come up a lot.
It certainly will, although I think this agreement today really is more about defense and more showing that the United States really sees what's happening between China and Russia and North Korea and is working on building a structure to counter that.
Okay, we're going to do a lightning winners and losers. Leslie, first to you, winner then loser.
My winner are the people of Maui. Not only are they true heroes in saving each other's lives, but really coming together as a community, as an island, to build each other up and to rebuild that community devastated by those fires. My loser is Donald Trump. I think it's terrible that he will not accept whoever the GOP nominee will be. He won't sign the GOP pledge to do so. And I think we're just deja vu is actually playing in my head. Dionne Warwick is singing it very loudly.
He's going to have to sign, he signed the South Carolina thing to get on the ballot. They have their own pledge, and Florida does too. All right, Hugh?
My winner and my loser is the same, Vivek Ramaswamy. He got a lot of momentum this week, and just a little data point. Brett, you've been in the East Room at the Nixon Library. 900 people bought tickets. They paid money to see a political candidate and buy his book last night in Yorba Linda. But with all that exposure and momentum comes the target on the back of the other 6 or 7 people on the stage. So good news, bad news week for Vivek Ramaswamy.
All right, Byron, bring it home. Winner or loser?
The winner, Oliver Anthony, the formerly obscure country singer's song Rich Men North of Richmond, gone viral, big hit. Loser, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an embarrassing episode this week in which he was pro-life for about 5 minutes. And then after making a statement, getting questioned about it, backtracked quickly and became a good Democrat again.